moviegoers, my name is Justin and I love to review movies. And the movie I'm going to review is called The Last Dance. I saw it on Netflix. It came out last year. I'm a little late with it, unfortunately, but I watched all the episodes and I thought I'd get my final thoughts onto it because I think it was really a good documentary. It was well done. I tell you, man, it took me back watching that documentary about the Chicago Bulls. I mean, let's put it this way. If you were a kid in the 90s or a teenager in the 90s, you knew the Chicago Bulls. You knew about Michael Jordan. You knew about Scottie Pippen. You know, all those teams, all those players. I mean, it was just, you wouldn't know about them because it was, I mean, that was a good time to think about basketball. I mean, it really was. I remember when I was younger that you want the Air Jordans. I remember having them one time while I was I was a teenager. You know, the Michael Jordan shoes. I remember I had them when I was in school. You think you were cool when you go to school when you have the Michael Jordan shoes. And I love thinking about that. You know, it kind of brings me back. And you want the basketball hoop. And I remember having that, and you were shooting the ball, practicing. I remember doing that at the time, playing basketball, you know, because you want to be like Michael Jordan at the time. He was the guy to look at, and he was. But it's so funny. You look at the documentary of it. Is that before I keep going, I'll let you know this is some. I'm going to spoil this quite a bit. It came out last year, so I'm going to spoil this pretty well. So if you haven't seen it, turn this off. Watch the documentary, then go back, watch this if you want. But one thing for sure that by Michael Jordan, that you see the real person. You see kind of person he was. I mean, he was perfection. And he wants to win. He was competitive. He wanted to win every single time. He always pushed themselves. I mean, you cannot the results because, like you said, he won championships. He won 6, and it's pretty interesting that he was a team player. He wasn't a team player at first, and you know they had to talk to him to pass the ball, which he has, and it's very interesting seeing that too. And the only bad thing about him, it's kind of sad and stupid you think about it. The only bad thing they really can find about him that he likes gambling. Wow, whoopie-doo, gambling. I mean, that's probably the stupidest thing you could think of. And one thing I did like that when they show the video of the interview of another player, they see what they say and they ask. You see the reaction. They laugh a little bit. Something they disagree or agree. One thing I thought was pretty interesting. They talk about Detroit when they finally beat Detroit, because at the time Detroit was they're dirty. They were the dirty players. They were physical. They push you. They hit you. They foul you. You know, they trying to push you, stuff like that. And then when the Bulls finally beat them. You know, I kind of disagree with what Michael Jordan said about that team. Now and it's true. What he said was true. That there was no shaking hands in the playoffs. If you lose, they walk away. And he explained what happened to him when they finally beat the Larry Bird team. And I find that interesting that. That's how it was, and we did the same thing. That was the traditional, and so I thought it very interesting that they did it being assholes, but he said it that hey, that's what it was back then, but Michael Jordan said that's BS, you know, something like that. So it's very interesting to look back those days. It's very different back in those days. Nowadays they shake hands, win or lose. So it's kind of interesting how things change. But it's very interesting that I think the best one that the episode that he went to baseball when his father died was unfortunately. But people always, it's so sad because you think about people, he loved baseball, and he said in the interview that he was thinking about going to baseball anyway, and he told his dad about that, and his dad, and he had a conversation with dad. His father said, "Hey, I'm thinking about going to baseball," and so he was thinking about doing it anyway when his father was alive, and when his father died, unfortunately, that's when he went to baseball. And people keep thinking, "Oh, he's sucking baseball," because you saw the news, you saw the thing. But the coach said if he would have stayed, he probably would have won the World Series. He probably would have won the championship if he would have stayed in baseball. That's how good he was going to be. Because like in basketball, he practiced, he pushed himself, he wants to get better, and that was the kind of player he was. He wants to get better. He never satisfied, and that's why he's one of the greatest players on time. One of the greatest ones, Michael Jordan, because he always pushed himself. I thought it was interesting though. He pushes players a little bit more than he should. He was not like Phil Miller jacket kind of guy, but it's kind of interesting that when the player said that how much he was an asshole to work with because how bad he pushed him. And the players said they were complaining about him. They were, stuff like that. And it was a bad situation with that. But again, you can't argue the results. They won games. But it kind of showed that he was kind of like Steve Jobs. He expects the best and he wants the best. So you can't argue with that. He wants the best. Now, was it the best way to do that? Probably not. Maybe he could have done it differently to push his team to be better. And but that was the three though. There's Robin, Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan. And I remember those days, man, when they're playing against Utah Jazz. That was the rival team. That was like they were going at it. There was close games, and it was great to see those kind of games, watch those games again, and bring back good memories. And one thing I had to say that, unfortunately, by Scottie Pippen, and I did not know, that he didn't get paid like he deserved. I was like, wow, I did not know that he didn't get paid like he should. He was one of the best players. He was one of the best shooters. He was the best number one, number this, all that. And he didn't get paid like Michael Jordan got paid or Dennis Rodman got paid. And it was a shame that it's kind of sad that Scottie Pippen got treated like that. And it's a shame because people say, no, he really was a great player. And it's a shame. And there was a time that he wasn't going to play basketball anymore because he was not treated right. And unfortunately, it showed in the documentary. And it's kind of sad that how that went. But in a way, though, he did came back to finish the last season, the last dance of the championship. But it showed that what Michael Jordan was going through in that situation. Because I love how he said in the documentary, people were saying, oh, people like me. I want them to live my life one day and see how they like it. When he's talking about that he can go out like he wants to, he can be what he wants to be. Because people always, every time he comes out, there was reporters, fans, people, and he can't live like normal life. I'm sure he could do it now, but back then he really couldn't. And you see the stress, you see all the things coming to him, and it's kind of interesting to look at it that way. That he enjoys the game, but he really couldn't enjoy it if he wanted to, even the last championship. To this day, though, I always wonder, can they win the championship? After looking at that documentary, I don't think they would have, because they were getting tired, they were getting exhausted, their bodies about to fall out. So I think they left out at a high note. They won the 6th championship. So yeah, I think that was that was good for them that they stopped right there. So I definitely give this an A+. It was well done. Oh, by the way, they have Kobe Bryant in there as an interview. What he's like to see Michael Jordan. It was sad to see him. Another great player, and he was a great. It was sad to see him, and God bless that man. And it's really sad to see him in an interview because you know what happens, and that's like wow. But he was there because I remember he was that player. People will be asking, "Is he the next Michael Jordan?" It was him and LeBron James, and I remember people asking, "Is he the next Michael Jordan?" And I remember that. And maybe he was not the next Michael Jordan, but nobody can argue he was a great player, and he did what he did. And God bless that man. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But I definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix, A+. Check it out. It's really good. It's well done. Even though you're not a sports fan, I definitely recommend it. It's really good. It would bring you back watching that where you were a kid in the 90s, watching those Chicago Bulls. And that being said, A+, check it out. That being said, wash your hands, keep a safe distance, and God bless. And I'll see you in next movie review.